Hey everybody, this is JDGaming back today with another Duel video. So the last time we left off, we ended up finalizing the Brilliant Magical Reptiles deck that we had been working on this channel, and then Konami decided to drop the new Forbidden and Limited list on us right after Worlds. So I'm just going to do one more session of just tweaking this thing up. I actually came up with a pretty fun idea that I'm very excited about, so I just have to test it against a few opponents to see if the idea actually works and it's not just, something I'm doing for fun. Just like normal, I will be doing this kind of commentary as I play, and that way it keeps me more actively in the game. I'm thinking more about what I'm doing, and then you guys can also think of my thought process as to why are certain cards in the deck, how is the deck being run, and I think that makes it more meaningful for the deck profiles as well. Unfortunately, this also means we have to wait for a person to get in here, so hopefully that won't take too long. Alright, so we have our opponent. I'm going to do rock as normal, just because the way I play rock, paper, scissors is rock, paper, scissors, and since you say scissors last, there's like this weird subliminal thing that I think goes on. I wish point you could beat scissors with rock. He tied though. I'm just going to stay as is. He stayed twice in a row. I think he's going to stay again, yeah. So I want to go first because this new strategy. Yes, we got it. So we're gonna lock him out of the entire game. So here we go with this. First we resolve Brilliant Fusion, which will get us our Seraphonite, and that will bring us a free material in Trick Clown. And that's really good for us because now we can even special this Nefarious Archfiend out without any normal summon investment. So in a theoretical place where we actually got more cards for whatever reason, we could actually go and normal summon twice beyond that. But really, there's just no reason to use up a normal summon. I mean, it's a free resource. In this case, because the Trick Clown will already be used, I'm just going to go for the Utopia. I wonder if he's got Maxi or something. We're going to go into Ray, but instead of going to Lightning, we're going to summon the new Jump promo here, the S0. And pretty much what this guy does is you need a rank up magic spell, so I'm using limited variants, and we'll go over why in the profile. But now I have a 4K beater. I'm going to set this Twin Twisters with it. And during his draw phase, now I'm just going to detach a material, and he can't play any cards. He can only summon. So if it's an inherent summon or a normal summon, he can do that. But he is not allowed to do anything else for the rest of the turn. So we're actually going to get rid of the Trick Clown, because there's a pretty good chance that he won't be able to use anything. Because, I mean, like, if he tries to kill the Trick Clown, he's just introducing a monster on the board that I can just run right through. So he's leaving himself defenseless at that point. It's fairly safe to say that this guy will work. So this guy literally just says he has 1,000 attacks per each material. Your opponent can't respond when you summon it, and during your opponent's turn, once per turn, you can detach a material to make your opponent unable to activate or play any cards for the rest of the turn as a quick effect. So the way you play this with the Utopia Ray, you'll end up with 3 materials left after that first use, so you can go and attack starting on your second turn with 3k. Let's see, Raid Raptors. And then you'll probably get a second turn of 2k, but you'll probably win because of the nature of this Magical Reptiles deck to just spam out Xyz and win in the course of a turn anyway. So let's see, what's this guy do? Contribute a Raid Raptor and target a... So it's not a quick play, like a quick effect. And he's setting multiple back row. I actually hope he stops here, because then I can take down this thing. So he's not allowed to do anything. He's trying to attack Seraphonite. That's actually fine. I don't need that. The main thing with the Brilliant Fusion is in hands where I've drawn tons of monsters, it does let me clear out a bunch and just go for stuff. But in this case, it really was just a free Trick Clown on the board. So if he attacks that, I mean, he just left himself vulnerable. And in this case, in the end phase, I will Twin Twisters him, because that way I won't get hit during my turn. Again, S0 only lets me block off effects during his turn. So what are these new trap cards? Raid Raptor. Oh, they're just Raid Raptor cards that my game has not loaded before. Alright, so at this point, he's allowed to do stuff. I don't know if Raid Raptors have some sort of like hand trap or anything special. So hopefully they don't, but fortunately this will let us draw a card as we go King of the Feral Imps, and if he doesn't hit me and destroy my monster, I should be able to just go revive the Trick Clown, bring out a free... Oh wow, we just replaced our Jurigato. We can probably push for game right now. So now the Trick Clown will come back while I get a Gigabyte, and then that should allow me to push for game with like a Samurai or something. I'm actually really liking Kageyama Samurai in this deck because of its very powerful ability to attack twice. Because when you add the Jurigato to it, that's an additional 1700 when Jurigato attacks successfully. And then you add the 1000 to the 19. So that's 2900 attack points attacking twice, which is very, very powerful. And when you consider the fact that a lot of the monsters in this deck that you make the Xyz out of are free monsters with like 0 attack, because like Trick Clown, it's a no-brainer that you include stuff like this. So unfortunately, again, I can't stop his effects, but most likely he doesn't play anything. Again, I don't know Raid Raptors, and he might have something. At which point, great for him. I just don't know how to deal with Raid Raptors. But this might be game as it is right here. So let's see if this ends up going through. So then we're going to attack with 23. I'm still attacking in ascending attack order in case scores comes out, because, you know, it is technically at 3. And then once we power up the Samurai, it's actually going to be big. I should have read the things in the graveyard. Oh, wow. Okay, well, I wasn't paying attention. If you have a Raid Raptor in your graveyard, you can banish this card from the grave. You take no damage this turn. Okay, that's cool. I actually didn't expect that. Alright. No biggie. However, at this point, I have to make a big decision. Let's see, I can shut off things like Dark Hole, which means I don't have to consolidate for anything, but Hope Zexal would be down, or Utopic Zexal will be down to... Yeah, this is the entire turn. Yeah, so there's no point in doing anything else. I'm just going to do this because even if he's left with 2000 attack, he still can't play any other cards, and realistically, if he can't play any cards and he can only run over my one monster, I am not really afraid of what he can do to me. Because, okay, well, let's say he kills this thing. What's he going to do about these other things? I get a free search, I can still attack twice, get a free monster off of that. Like, I'm just not worried about this. So, yeah, this is actually a pretty amazing card. I'm glad I held on to this thing and no one ended up buying this. But, it looks like it is a decent addition to the strategy. We're going to start off with 0 commitment just by adding a free monster to hand, because there's no reason not to at this point. We're going to go and add the Gigabyte, because that's a free summon. And although normally I do like attacking with Jurigato first, I'm actually going to activate its effect on the Samurai, who will attack twice anyway, and then give him the ability here. And the reason is I want to be able to trigger the Trick Clown, and that will let me summon the Gigabyte for free. So with this deck, if you decide you guys want to pilot this, basically you want to make sure that you maximize your Xyz summons by making sure simultaneously that you have a monster on the field at all times, preferably a spellcaster so you can bring out things like Gigabyte. But you also want to make sure you don't clog your entire monster zone area, because that happens a lot as well. We actually could go Daigusto Emerald and we could get out a free copy of the, whatchamacallit, the Garnet for damage, but at this point I have enough damage on the board and I just want to stop him from using his other thing. What am I saying? I basically want to stop him from using any weird cards like that. We're gonna get rid of Trick Clown. This thing, Raid Raptor Readiness, though I guess technically it doesn't have anything else right now. I mean, and the cool thing is detaching this isn't bad because Instant Fusion lets me go and retrieve that, and then it'll start up that cycle again, which is very cool. So if he doesn't have a response here, let's see, what's this do? If it's normal or special summon, increase the level during the main phase, sent to the graveyard. You can banish this from the grave, but that's only his main phase, right? Yeah. So unless he has a hand trap, this should be game. Okay, that's 4 monsters with more than 2,000 attacking. So yeah, so this is basically the Brilliant Magical Reptiles strategy always had the ability to aggressively attack the opponent, cutting them off from their plays with Abyss Dweller and with Rafflesia, and I feel like S0 really just does fit, so I decided let's just take out the 2 Breaker, the Magical Warrior, and the 1 Maxi that I was forced to from the list, and we can go and make the deck even more aggressive by adding 3 copies of Barion's Force. I'll be back with a quick recap of this. Alright guys, I'm back with the recap here. So just like normal, I'm going to just go through the replay really quickly and then mention the stuff that I might have done differently if I were piloting this deck with just a bit more knowledge. Of course, hindsight is 20/20, so I'll keep that in perspective, but I feel like analyzing your games once in a while like this can really help you make sure that you're thinking about making the correct plays, because you tend to uncover some trends in your play style and just things that happen that you can use in the future if you're paying attention to them. So without any delay, let's get through this. So I feel like Brilliant Fusion here was the best play just because it got me the spellcaster I needed, and I want to make sure I get rid of the Garnets as soon as possible. Maximizing the attack of this thing and the longevity of the Utopic Zexal's effect by getting the Utopia Ray. I mean, that's more of a deck building thing, but I feel like it was fine. And the whole reason I set Twin Twisters is in testing this deck, I found that if you are able to bring this thing out and your opponent can't deal with it immediately, if they have traps, they will set them face down to try to deal with you during your turn. A lot of decks playing like Pot of Desires or Card of Demise and are able to play extra trap cards tend to be able to do this. So if you set the Twin Twisters in this situation, your opponent can't even kill your Twin Twisters with their own unless they chain it to your Zexal or your Utopic Zexal. So if you're able to blow out most or all of their back row, it really limits their options and keeps them out of the game, which is the whole point of the strategy, because the BMR is able to go and then bring out some Xyz monsters and push on that second turn. It basically, if you go first and you draw a rank up spell, since you're able to consistently summon that Utopia anyway, you're pretty much going to win the game just by locking your opponent out of their turn 1 and then pushing really hard turn 2. So that's the whole strategy now. It's basically gotten a bit more support thanks to this card. And indeed, he does set 2 cards. Biggest thing here, I mean, just reminder to myself and to everyone else, I mean, part of it is, I will admit, whenever I'm making a video like this live, I don't want to spend too much time reading stuff, but really, you do want to read every new card you see. Don't ask your opponent what it does, like actually spend the few seconds, read it through, because you may want to see some aspect of the card that your opponent may not necessarily present to you, and even just you need to be familiar with it enough to have the working knowledge to play around stuff. In this case, had I read this, I would have realized, okay, I have to like Abyss Dweller to bait him out before, or not even bait him out, I have to have Abyss Dweller so I can prevent him from playing this thing before he gets a Raid Raptor. Had I known that, I could have won turn 1 potentially, or that second turn. And then let's see this. When a spell or trap is activated while you control a Raid Raptor, negate the activation if you do destroy. That's pretty good, but again, when you play cards like this, you just don't have to deal with anything, which is kind of nice when you are running them. This is still the best play, I think, because just getting free resources off of both those monsters is amazing. And this really should have been an Abyss Dweller here, because if you think about it, let's say that we're an Abyss Dweller and I couldn't attack twice. Okay, so I just killed that monster and he has 73. So then it'd be 2200, 2300, and 3000. So that's what, hang on a second as I add this up. 22, 23 is 45, 75. Yeah, that would have been game right there. So I should have done that because that would have prevented him from using this thing that was public knowledge in the grave. Looking at his hand, I don't know if he has any hand trap effects. It looks like he does not. Yeah, he doesn't have any hand trap effects, so I actually could have pushed through that for game. And actually, that's a pretty interesting topic to keep in mind. Anytime you could win the game, objectively, just looking at everything your opponent has on the board and everything in their graveyard, just looking at all the resources you know, if you can win and you don't realize it, you are giving your opponent a free turn that they really shouldn't have, and they might be able to turn the game around and win because of that. If you think of a card like Pot of Desires, you know, why is that +1, the drawing the extra cards, so important? It's because it gives your opponent more options and more time to put together all of their plays. If you give your opponent the turn to go when you could win, you're pretty much giving them a free Upstart Goblin for no reason, and you're not even getting life for it. So do keep in mind at all points. That's part of the reason why I do these types of commentary duels, is I try to stay a little more active while I think, and hopefully then I'm able to catch things like this. But this time I didn't add up the attack points beforehand. That's another thing. I guess the second thing I'd say is assess the situation, not only reading the cards, but also realize when you can push for game, because I mean, with this extra attack and with this big beater, I should have realized that Dweller was enough. This was overkill, and in the end it didn't even work. So things just to keep in mind for myself and for anyone else. Yeah, that was unfortunate. The nice thing is S0 is powerful enough to actually keep the opponent out of the game for multiple turns, and in this case the spell he drew is not able to do anything for him, so. And the cool thing is, since this thing prevents Dark Hole, Raigeki, things like that, you're able to keep your board intact, and that'll help you push for game. So in that sense, I mean, it still doesn't change the fact that I made that silly play of letting him use Raid Raptor Readiness, but let's say he didn't have that, it was a different type of deck, building a kind of, and let's say I didn't have a Jurigato, so I couldn't win. Going for something like Samurai to be able to win in this strategy, even without extra random cards in your hand, just having your main deck, or I guess not main deck, your extra deck, its main place, be able to go for a game this easily. That is something that you want to aim for when you're building your combo type decks. So let me know what you think of the deck as it is right now. I'm going to be going and just playing a few more test duels off camera just to make sure everything's good. I've actually ordered the last few pieces I need for this. Obviously, I didn't have 3 copies of Limited Variance Force lying around, so I had to order those. Those should be in by the weekend, so hopefully the profile of this will be in next week. And in the meantime, I actually do have a couple other fun deck ideas that I'll be toying with, and I'll probably test one of those for fun, or at least just duel with one of those for fun on this channel for Thursday. So thanks guys, this is JD Gaming, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.